Sunday arvo. I've been at home just doing work because of the weather. Getting my professional evaluation for work done, trying to finalise my tax. A bit late. Wife's been on Marketplace. She found a few dresses that were free and they looked all pretty big, but they were all like pine dresses. And I said, no, where are we going to put them? And she goes, oh yeah, you're right. However, she did find an outdoor table made from blackbutt, Australian hardwood, and it's free. People have been trying to sell it, obviously couldn't sell it, and so they're just giving it away. And she nabbed it, and I'm going to collect it down at Emu Plains. And in the ad it said, heavy, you'll need 2 people, or it can be dismantled, but that's up to the buyer. So I've got a stack of tools in the back here, and they said it looked like coach bolts. So I've got some sockets, impact driver, and I'll have a look at it, and I think I'm just going to dismantle it and put it in parts in the back of the truck and take it back, because it looked solid, but it just said in the ad there's no rot, it just needs to be sanded and refinished. Looks like a fairly simple outdoor table construction, trestle style. I should be able to just take the tops off. I think they didn't have any holes on the top in the picture, so I think it's just screwed in from underneath. So I'll be able to take that off, take the cross brace off, put the legs into the back as is, and get it back to the house. An unwinding way to finish Sunday before heading back into work tomorrow. So not much really happened at work today. It was a day when I was going to have just year 10. I was going to spend the rest of the time on the timetable. So I did spend most of my time on the timetable. And then when we were going to have year 10, they organised for the year 10 rehearsal for their graduation, which is later this week. So I met year 10 at the classroom and then took them down to the rehearsal in the hall. So there was no real class, which kind of feels bad because there was some kids who were getting so close to getting their jobs finished, but maybe in the next there's only 2 weeks left. We're in week 10, there's week 10 and 11. Had an announcement in morning meeting today that our school's getting a brand new principal next year. Our current relieving principal had gone for the job but was unsuccessful, which is it's sad. He was doing a great job. I got a feeling that he might start looking for other positions, because there's been a few staff that have done that. If they've missed out on a promotion position in the school, they start looking elsewhere and they move on, which is a good thing for their career, but it means that we lose a good staff member. I believe that our new principal is going to be coming in sometime next week, in the last week of his term, for a bit of a handover and let's meet the staff type thing. So we'll see how that goes. Be good to meet him. We've got new staff all over the place in the school at the moment. Some are permanent and some are additional. Yeah, changes afoot.
Yeah, this walk's been a long time coming. With all the rain we've had every weekend, or me doing marketing the last couple of weekends, they've missed out. Now today, Teachers Union and the Transport Union are both taking strike action. Well, I'm incredibly supportive of the strike action and I'm technically on strike. I did not want to take a chance of being in the city with the new Omicron variant starting to pop up and the fact that Delta is still around, and the concern that's been voiced both, by quite a few people, that there's all these people who are just enjoying protesting for the sake of protesting, and there's a concern that there's going to be a whole stack of anti-vaxxers or disruptors just joining the protest for the hell of it. I'm wearing red in solidarity because that's the colour that our union will wear so that we all stand out, especially from times past where we've had strike action along with the police union and the nurses and the ambulance union and all that sort of stuff. So we stand out. My first thoughts about not going down into the city was looking for other venues, and the nearest one was Bathurst. It would have actually been quicker for me to drive out to Bathurst than to get on public transport to go into the city, especially with the fact that the train and bus drivers are on strike. But I looked up the weather forecast. The weather forecast for Bathurst today looked horrendous. It's 90% chance of thunderstorms and rain. So I just went, well, I'll just go out on strike and stay at the house. And when we saw a bit of sunshine this morning, I went, well, these guys deserve a walk, and out we go. I'm sure they're complaining. Quite a little bit of a road trip. Badman's first time in the car for a long trip. Just heading out to Dad's for the weekend. And we've had to make a stop. This is a little stop in a town called Kapiti. And they've done up this place a fair bit. This paved area used to be dirt the last time we came through. The toilets have been here for a while, but they're nothing special.
He's got a little worm.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
There's a stream over here, so I'll put him down there. I think that's where he was heading. Is that right? You're in better shape than this other one we found. This is the 5th tortoise we've come across. He's the 3rd one that's been okay.
So here we are up in Lightning Ridge. Arrived up here night before last. We got up here at about 10:30. It's nice to be in some sunshine. But we've only come up for a short trip. I'm just heading down into town to the gas station, get the car filled up ready for our trip back tomorrow, and for any jaunting around today if we do any, and want to buy a bag of ice. This is the first time that we've taken the Jeep out for a long run. My wife made a comment that it's the most comfortable she's ever been on a trip up here, because in the old Suzuki that had pretty stiff suspension and a rigid rear axle, so it would bounce along the road, and the roads up here are shocking. From here down to Walgett and then down to Coonamble, it's just a shocking road. You bounce like crazy. Now I found that in the truck as well when I came up. I brought Dad up here after he was in hospital, and that's got not too stiff a suspension, but rigid rear axle, so it'd skip around a little bit. The Jeep, independent all round, and it ran fairly comfortably. It still bounced around, but it wasn't near as bad. And I was always wondering what the fuel economy was going to be on this, because it was definitely good in the diesel. This is usually just driven around town and down into the city, so the fuel economy's never been that great. But on that fill up, which was a run from the Blue Mountains up to here, I averaged 7.8 litres per 100, which is better than the truck, I think. It cruises really nicely, and I was using cruise control just to see if it would keep the best, and the last 300 k's is at 110 k's. You'd expect a vehicle to be using a fair bit of fuel at that speed, but it was cruising, and you could see it just saying it was going to be using somewhere between 6 and 8 litres per 100. So I'm sorry if you're not a person who's into stats on fuel economy on cars, but it's always interested me on how far you can get on a drive. We'd only used 48 litres of fuel to get up here. One fill up down near the mountains and drive all the way up here. That means in the morning, if we drive around a bit today, in the morning before we leave, I'll just do a little top up so we can make it all the way back home without having to stop for fuel.
You have entered an area where turn-by-turn guidance is not available.
That man's loving it up here. We're loving the warmth. Sam's loving it up here because this is where he came from. This is his birthplace. So he's getting to see his mum and his sisters. Bounces good here, doesn't it?
Sam? Yeah, we don't go out the driveway. Thank you. Go back in, Mum. Do you remember being here, Sam? We've stopped here a few times with you. This is your first time, Batman. In the picnic area. And a park. Open field. We just made a stop at Manduran, driving back from Lightning Ridge. This park has a little toilet area. It's just a nice quiet town to stop in. Yet again, we're coming through late. It's just gone 6 p.m. Didn't leave Lightning Ridge till just before 2, which means we're going to be getting home in the dark, but it's nice.
Last day of school with the students, so I got to dress up cheery. And I just realised the beard is so appropriate for this time of year. Perfect. New South Wales restrictions opened up the other day. Yesterday, the 15th of December, was the blueprint for opening up the state with no restrictions. That was before Omicron. They went ahead and did it anyway. They said we're not backpedaling on our restrictions opening up. There's no need for mask wearing, except on public transport, in airports, on planes. Hospitality workers or frontline workers in retail who aren't fully vaccinated, they still have to wear a mask. But if you're fully vaccinated, then have at it, go for it. And that being said, yesterday, first day of open restrictions, the cases in New South Wales jumped to 1,360 from 800 and something the day before, 500 and something the day before that, 300 something the day before that. So they started just climbing. And the Omicron variant is here. But so is Delta still. But the boss did say yesterday in muster, the mask mandate stays in effect in schools until the last day of school. And there is a recommendation on New South Wales Health that if you're in an indoor area where you can't social distance, you should probably still wear a mask. But it's not mandatory. So anyway, so we still need to wear them at school. So I've got my Christmas mask for today, and it should just leave yet again enough of the beard sticking out the bottom to make me look like Santa. I had one class yesterday, and that was year 10, who shouldn't technically be there because they graduated last Thursday, but some kids are still coming into school. And one of mine who did was one who was making the big table, and he wanted to get it finished to take it home. So we went into the workshop and he got that finished. He got it assembled, finished. He can do the rest at home. The rest of the day I spent doing timetable, and you probably really don't care about this, but the timetable looked good. Everybody had their classes, their timetable set. There was no clashes. I sent it out, and then I get the news that our careers advisor and vet coordinator got a relieving head teacher position at one of the other campuses. So the careers and vet positions needed to be split up. They asked if one of my guys would like to do the relieving vet coordinator, and I said probably would. That meant I had to take a class off him because there's an allowance for the coordinator. I asked one of my other staff who was unloaded if she'd like to take one of his classes. She said yes, she'd be happy to. I put the class onto her. I had to shuffle the classes around. It was a year 7 class, that's why I didn't mind doing it. Shuffled the classes around, got it to fit on her timetable. However, careers advisor also taught business services, and there's only one other person in the school qualified to teach that, and that's one of my staff. So I've had to put that onto him, which means he needs to lose 7 periods for that class. Ooh, it's 8. Because of the administration period. Glad I was talking this out, I've forgotten about that. Okay, and they called on another teacher who does transition and careers stuff if she'd like to take over the career side of it. And now we've got to try and get her off classes and get other people on their classes, and that is not proving easy. I've been asking, and I'll hopefully get some answers today. And there's still rooming issues because we've got a lot more classes, a lot more staff, not enough rooms. Hopefully we can get it all sorted today because it's last day. Staff are back at school tomorrow, or most staff, for Professional Development Day, unless you did something as a faculty at another time, like at night, after school, on a weekend, in the holidays or something like that. But with the fact that we were on lockdown for so long, I don't think many faculties got that organised, so most people will be at school tomorrow. I know my faculty is. And it's all about finishing up for this year and planning for next year. I'll let you know how everything goes if I fall into a crumpled mess because of the timetable, which I felt like yesterday. Thankfully I don't have classes today, so I'm just going to be in front of the laptop all day again. So that's what I was doing yesterday. Merry Christmas!